Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of The Push with Nick and KP. I'm KP, Nick is here in attendance with me once again, and we are going to be going through our reactions to this past weekend's WWE event that was known as NXT Heatwave, and it did really bring the heat. It's something that I'm really looking forward to here. I'm excited to get all our thoughts and opinions out here. We're going to be rating all the matches, we're going to be discussing them in a little bit of detail, basically saying how things went down. And yeah, without further ado, how about we get started with the show? Before we do that, though, there was a pre-show match that we haven't really dedicated a slide to as such on here. That would feature Carmen Petrovic and Ariana Grace. They would take on the team of JC Jane and Jasmine Nix. Just a little pointer out there that it was the team of Carmen and Ariana that would get the win here. Just starting off with the Canadian crowd, sort of pick them up a little bit. That would sort of get things ignited for the beginning, and then they would go into the main show, which would start off with Obafemi. He would defend his NXT North American Championship up against Wesley, and the stipulation being here that if Wesley was to lose against Oba, then he would no longer be able to challenge Obafemi for the North American Championship, so long as he actually has that championship. So, obviously, high stakes here from this matchup. I think going into this one, I was pretty confident Wesley was actually going to get the win here. I thought we were going to have a new NXT North American champion, but actually it turned out to be the opposite. Obafemi would once again just find a way to dismantle an opponent of his, and he would defeat Wesley, which is not something a lot of people can say they've done for the North American title. So puts him in an exclusive club. I think he basically just joins Dominic Mysterio in that one, which is shouted out by that Judgment Day interference all that time ago. But yeah, Obafemi, Wesley, they started off the show, and it was a pretty damn good match in my opinion. A lot of energy in this one. The two really sort of complement each other really nicely. Obviously, Wesley, basically like a David and Goliath story, right? Obviously, you got this mammoth of a man, Obafemi. He's built differently. He is very, 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 very tall. Muscular figure, and you got Wesley, bit of a shorter character, very agile, but tremendous in his own right. But hey, this one was a really, really good watch. Wesley really tried his best here. Just couldn't really get past the muscle that was Obafemi. Every time he sort of had something up his sleeve, Obafemi would be able to counter it. And, Obafemi would get a large portion of the offense throughout this matchup. Wesley getting bits hit in here and there, proving that he's a very credible threat to the title. But, I mean, Obafemi, who do you have to beat this man? Do you think there's anybody on the NXT roster at the moment that really strikes out as, the guy to dethrone Obafemi? Or do you think that maybe we've got to wait a little bit longer and really see who's going to step up to this?
Yeah, I kind of, shared your viewpoint, and that I thought Wesley was going to win back his title here. And, although Obafemi has been anything but a placeholder, that's kind of what I viewed him as, in the angle that they were taking in Wesley winning the title that he technically never lost. That being said, as you kind of alluded to, these two absolutely complement each other, bring out the best of each other, the heavyweight, and I guess we'll call him a cruiserweight. I think that's probably be his best, Wesley's best classification here. But Wesley made him look absolutely unstoppable. And to your point, I'm not sure who can take the title from him at this point. Maybe one of these guys that didn't win the NXT title will kind of go over to North American title. I guess that's a possibility. And we kind of mentioned this on the prediction show as well. I think both of these guys are bigger than the North American title, and that's no slight towards the North American title. I just think these two are at the top of their game, and I think should probably be going for the big title at this point. But someone's got to hold it, and I think, as you mentioned, Wesley not being able to challenge again, I think clearly that's where he's headed. But I don't think Obafemi is far behind. It's just incredible how they built him up, and he, looks like a legit contender here, and almost to a point where I'm sitting here thinking to myself, how much longer does Obafemi have on NXT? This, in my opinion, this was the best match that I've seen of his. If that's not the case, that it's possible, because I'm somewhat new to NXT still. But that was an incredible match. And as far as ratings, I think most of this show is pretty pretty high ratings for me, but I think I gave this one a 9 out of 10.
Yeah, I can't really fault any of that you just said. I think we're all singing off the same hymn sheet here. It was a really great start to the show, and I share your sentiments. I think very similar rating. I give it an 8.5 out of 10, so, pretty damn high up there in comparison. You probably realize, those of you who are listening in here, that the ratings that we're giving are going to be relatively high for the show, probably. I don't know about Nick, but this probably could be one of the highest average rated ones that we're probably going to see here. So it's going to be quite interesting on that front. But yeah, 8.5. It was a wonderful start to the show. I think that Wesley going after the NXT Championship in the future, the very short-term future perhaps, could be a solid move. I think that, they could add a little spice up to that division, and Wesley would certainly do the trick on that one. But yeah, I mean, Obafemi, him going up to establishing himself as a star on NXT has been done in such a short period of time. He hasn't been here for that long. So he won the NXT Breakout Star last year, the tournament. And he's gone on to win the North American Championship from that. He's held it like an absolute beast. And there doesn't seem to be any time of stopping him. Who's going to prize this from his hands? I have no idea at the moment. You have no idea. It's definitely an interesting situation. But that NXT Championship, Oba's probably going to set his sights on that at some point, I would imagine, going forward. But Wesley, he's got the opportunity now that he's freed up from this picture. So we go from one North American Championship over to the other, and this was the Women's North American Championship, one that was introduced not too long ago, just over a month ago, well, just around a month ago now or so, and that was at NXT Battleground. This is NXT Heatwave. The defending champion, Kalani Jordan, she would win it over at Battleground and defend it over here at Heatwave, and it would be up against her friend, Sol Ruka. So two women who are unbelievably agile, unbelievably athletic. They can put on a very entertaining show just on their pure moveset of just, bedazzling the audience. And that's exactly what they showed in parts of this matchup. I've seen sequences, since having watched it myself, I've seen sequences online that have just taken, X by storm, really, because they've just sort of gone through this wonderful sequence, very similar to the likes of Ricochet and Ospreay sequence from long ago. These two women know how to get the job done in sort of when it comes down to the agile maneuvers, and they just had a great showing here. I thought they absolutely killed it in terms of complementing each other, like we see with Obafemi and Wesley. They complemented each other in a different way. They sort of matched each other in terms of what they were offering in that ring, and they sort of made each other raise up to a higher level. I'm a really, really big fan of this matchup. I really, really did enjoy it. It would be Kalani Jordan that would defeat Sol Ruka in the end after a very hard-fought, evenly contested match. And I think this is probably the right call. Kalani Jordan, very early in her defense. I don't think it was really the time to lose it just yet. Although Sol Ruka is a wonderful talent, I think she's going to be brilliant. I don't know if maybe Kalani losing it here would have been the right call. So I'm glad they didn't do that. Sort of cement her place in the legacy of the title that, she's been sort of referencing for a while now. And this gives her an opportunity to do that. Beating someone as talented as Sol Ruka is, and obviously, trying to build on that in the future going forward. But Nick, in regards to, we just saw Obafemi and Wesley, very different dynamic compared to this matchup. Did you enjoy it as much as I've maybe alluded to throughout my description so far? Did you like the the agility between the two of them competing against one another in that sense? What did you make of this matchup in total?
Yeah, I think whereas the men's North American was more of a David versus Goliath, kind of felt like this one was kind of a anything you can do, I can do better kind of style. And in the predictions we talked about I discussed possibility of maybe Sol turning heel because we have the face-face dynamic that we don't often see. Maybe that's where they were going, but it didn't end up being that. Just two, talents that have a very, very bright future, and yeah, it delivered. And I think what I will identify as the best women's match of the night. But yeah, it's truly incredible, and I think I just felt like it was too soon. I wouldn't have been upset or disappointed at all had Sol won this. I think it's just too soon for Kalani having won that title and it being the first holder for her to lose it. But I don't think this is the last that we'll see of these. We saw the show of respect at the end. maybe it is, but I'm kind of hopeful it's not. And I think this just alludes to the kind of next in line that WWE has, bringing in these non-traditional wrestlers, so to speak. And with both of these, gymnast backgrounds that they have, it's exciting to see, and like Braun Breaker of sorts as well. Like, exciting to see how quickly these guys and girls come in and adapt to the wrestling style. It's impressive, and to think that these guys haven't been on it that long. Just thinking of what they could end up being and doing is it's a great time to be a wrestling fan, I guess, is my overall point. But yeah, I gave this one 9 out of 10 as well. And as we kind of both alluded to, it was just one of those nights. This PLE just it just doesn't miss.
No, I don't think it does miss. I think it's going to be the theme throughout this entire reactions podcast video, whatever we're calling this. And it's just one of those situations where the talent have really just really encapsulated how good the NXT roster really is from top to bottom. You got the men's division, you got the women's division, and you got everything in between. And these two women are no exception to that. And I think you described it perfectly when you said the whatever you can do, I can do better situation scenario. That's a great way of describing this, because it was exactly that. Regarding my rating for this one, I gave it an 8.5, so similar, well, the same rating as what I gave to Wesley and Obafemi. I felt like both matches were just great in their own ways. Like, obviously very different in terms of like the style of watching it. But I mean, hey, competitive spirit between two friends, sometimes it doesn't work. I feel that this time it definitely did work, and it was great to see. So, moving on now, onto our third match of the show. This was for the NXT Tag Team Championships. We saw Axiom and Nathan Fraser defending their gold up against Chase Hughes, Andre Chase, and Duke Hudson. They would have Riley Osborne and Tia Hale in their corner for this one. Obviously, Chase Hughes being supporting one another as they always do. And it would make for an interesting dynamic, because building up to this one, Ridge Holland would be the key factor. He would be influencing results for Chase U, and it made you think, like, look, with Chase U getting rid of Ridge Holland, like, not getting rid of him, but like telling him to stay back for the event, could something else take place? Could something else happen? That was going through my mind for the majority, but it didn't happen. It didn't happen. Nothing went down like that. These two teams had arguably one of the best tag team matches I've seen in quite some time. They had an absolute barnstormer of a contest here. I had a feeling that Chase U would become the tag team champs here, but it was actually Axiom and Nathan Fraser who would successfully defend their championships. We'd seen Nathan Fraser and Axiom in the build-up to this, with especially Nathan Fraser here, not on the same page as his tag team partner Axiom. He'd be going off trying to do this, trying to do that, competing for this title, competing for that. Like, he wouldn't really be focused on the tag team titles. But I mean, if he can go off and do that for himself, and then also come back and put on a match like this with a tag team partner against these opponents, it's something special. I mean, this match was absolutely incredible. One of my matches of the night, if not my match of the night. It actually might be. It's a very close call. But either way, though, huge fan of what happened here. Nick, passing over a question here to you. Do you agree with the result here? Do you think there maybe should have been a change in tag team champions here? Or are you happy that Nathan Fraser and Axiom retained their gold? I just thought maybe because of that build-up, I thought maybe it made sense for it to go that way. But obviously, maybe I'm missing something, perhaps. What do you reckon? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, while I completely understand your reasoning behind, thinking Chase U could take it, I felt like they've also had their own issues. That's kind of a story that's been told many times with them. And so maybe they're more accustomed to diversity or challenges within than Axiom and Nathan Fraser are. Personally, I just felt like it was too soon. I feel like there's not a bad talent in this match, obviously, but I feel like with the level of talent Nathan and Axiom are, I feel like you could kind of extend that, make it a bigger story, the breakup between them. And I don't feel like they've been together that long anyways. But I think certainly they've laid some eggs here. Just, I think giving them time to hatch, I think would be a little better served. Is my only thought process there. But yeah, just an absolute terrific match. I really don't have anything to add to it other than just, you know, this is a tag team on a PLE that delivered, and I think you had pretty high hopes for this one too, and I think it delivered. Yeah, it's tough, and I feel like I could say this with every match of the night. I can't give you a reason why it isn't match of the night. Only one match during the evening, I feel like wouldn't be a contender for that though. So yeah, I mean, everyone kind of showed off, and I think Nathan and Fraser and Axiom just are both terrific talents, and I think both of them could make quite a splash in the singles side of it as well. So I won't be upset when they do split, but I just think that maybe giving them a little more time, and then Chase U can have the titles at that point. But there's certainly no shortage of tag teams in NXT. I think they could take them. So as for the rating, again, I kind of a bit contradictory to what I just said, that there could all be matches of the night, but I didn't quite put this one high as the first two. But no slide into what they did. I just didn't enjoy it as much. I gave this one 8.5 out of 10.
I guess this is where we swap the ratings around then. So I gave this one a 9 out of 10. I like I say, I'm massive fan of this matchup. I think that actually Nathan Fraser, they're probably one of the most fun tag teams that we can probably watch right now. Just in terms of their general sort of like style in the ring. They really go hard in that ring. Like, there's no stopping them. When they get up to like full speed, they just go absolutely crazy, and it's a wonderful thing to watch. It's a breath of fresh air in comparison to a lot of other tag teams. Obviously, you've got two guys who are just pure high flyers. They can just go crazy. They can just go so fast around that ring. Especially Nathan Fraser, never slow down. He literally does live to that mantra, and it's a wonderful thing to watch. Obviously, we've seen other guys that go stupidly fast in the ring, but Nathan Fraser's up there with the fastest of them, maybe even the fastest. So, yeah, pleasure to watch this matchup. Really enjoy it. Maybe a little bit critical on my end, thinking that Chase U could have won. Maybe that influences my rating a little bit, but 9 I think is a very valid, very credible rating here from this one. But yeah, absolutely massive fan of it, and just enjoyed a tag team match that had no shenanigans involved. Just two teams going at it, and the best team won on the night. So, speaking of the best winning on the night, we had next up a matchup for the NXT Women's Championship. Lola Vice would challenge Roxanne Perez for her women's title. And this one had a very unique build to it. So, they start off maybe a little bit of collaboration. Roxanne Perez could never really trust Lola Vice. Lola, she clearly wanted the NXT title. They have a little bit of go back and forth between the two of them, going for a spinning back fist each, both landing it. And then it would lead to a little promo segment just beforehand on NXT this past, the week just gone. And, Lola Vice getting very emotional in that one. So changing the whole dynamic of that bill going into it, very interesting there. But on the back of that, going into the match itself, always truly believed the Roxanne would win this one. Like, no sort of discredit here to Lola Vice herself, but I just always thought to myself, you know what, Roxanne's probably got this in the bag. I think there are bigger things coming up for Roxanne Perez, and I still do believe that now. I don't think Lola's time is quite yet. If it does happen, then, maybe it could be for, like, the North American Championship, maybe on the women's side of things for now. But hey, this match itself, I think we're taking away from that one at the moment. It was a lot of fun. I think it was probably the worst match of the night, but that's not really saying an awful lot. It was still a very good contest. The other matches were absolutely incredible. This one was good in its own right as well, because you had two women who just purely hate each other, just going after that championship. And they really just sort of they really raised the stakes towards the end of the contest as well. I mean, we all saw, for those of us who watched it, the end of this matchup was pretty gnarly. Roxanne Perez had to hit Lola Vice with 4 or 5 pop rocks to actually get the victory in the end, one of which being on the announce table. And then she'd hit 3 in succession in the ring. One was, you could say it was probably a little botched, but I thought she handled it very, very well. She recovered. She picked Lola up. She literally dragged her back across the ring, which was just nuts to see. And then just hit another pop rocks again to get the 1, 2, 3. It was quite an interesting finish. I really did rate it, even with the botch. I didn't really think it affected it whatsoever. It actually made it look almost more badass, to be fair, in my opinion. But hey, the match itself, really, really good. I thought that Lola really pushed Roxy to her limits. She suffered like a bit of an injury to her right hand during the match, Lola Vice would. She go for a spinning back fist on the ring post. Roxanne getting out the way. Obviously, that she would be the target. But yeah, hitting that ring post, obviously suffering the effects of that. Very damaged wrist or whatever we're going to be dubbing it as. But Roxanne Perez being able to take advantage in the end of a very game Lola Vice. I thought this one was quite good. It's just when you put it on a card such as NXT Heatwave was on this occasion, it's crazy to think that this is the worst of the night. I think you'll probably allude to that in a moment, Nick, as well. But regarding this one, right result, yeah. I'm guessing you agree. Roxanne Perez winning was on cool. I've obviously made my my opinions clear here in this one. But where does Lola go from here? That's the main question. What does she do next? We've seen an emotional side of her. Could we see maybe going into a face turn? Is that a possibility? Yeah. What are your thoughts regarding this one, mate?
Yeah, and I think we kind of discussed the kind of promo before Heatwave on NXT about what I think kind of was her face turn, and then on her entrance here, she kind of, high-fiving the fans as well. It's strange, but maybe they'll make it work. But for the match itself, yeah, I agree with you in that this was the worst of the night. But by no means is that saying the match wasn't good. It was. It just had a hell of a card to compete with. This is a pretty vicious match. I felt like kind of your old school limb targeting a bunch on this one, which was cool to see. We don't see that a ton anymore. It's not as utilized as it used to be. That's kind of your old school bit, though. I think Roxanne winning was the right choice. I personally, and I don't get the hype around Lola quite yet. I think she has the look and the tools. I just don't think she's quite put it all together yet. And I think Roxanne is clearly a very, very bright star for years to come. They don't call it a prodigy for nothing, right? My only complaint with this, and it's ironic we discussed this earlier in the week outside of this channel, but it took 5 finishers. I think that makes Roxanne look a bit weak, especially being that one of them was through the table. And then to your point, I think she did recover quite well from the one that didn't quite land well. I think that's an issue that we see on main quite a bit, is something gets botched and then we pretend it wasn't. We're all human, we make mistakes. So I think the way she did it and just kind of said, oh, I'll grab you back here and try that again. Like it just seems like it flows a little better, and I wish that more people would kind of utilize that treatment of an error on their end. But yeah, I think 5 finishers is a lot. I get that they're probably just trying to protect Lola here, which is fine. I just think if she's your NXT champion, she shouldn't have to use her finisher 5 times. But yeah, I give this one an 8 out of 10. And I think this is probably Lola's best match as well so far that I've seen. But I don't know how much of that should be alluded to Roxanne, who, as we already mentioned, is the prodigy for a reason.
Indeed, she is, and I think she's in a world of her own at the moment on NXT. She's in a league of her own, just standing out from the rest. Really, I think at the moment, like in terms of like her next challenger, I'm not entirely sure who that's going to be. I don't think it'll be Lola Vice again, that's for sure. But I mean, I've got like opinions in my head. Maybe it could be this person, could be that person. There is someone that I'm hoping to see some point soon that has not debuted yet. But regarding my rating, I also gave it an 8 out of 10. Like I say, that's a good rating, right? If you're gonna get an 8, that's that's not bad in the slightest. Just comparatively speaking to the rest of them, it's just nuts to think that that's on the lower end, which it's just a testament to how everything's gone so far and how everything did go in the end. But yeah, Roxanne winning. Happy with that decision. She's going to continue her title reign, which is, pretty damn impressive so far since winning it off of Lara Valkyria. And I'm really excited to see what the future holds for Roxanne Perez in terms of like her next opponents going forward. But yeah, really rating the title reign so far. Wasn't overly convinced by her turning heel to begin with, but she's proving me wrong for sure, and I'm loving every single second of it. Right. into our main event, guys. And this is a fatal four-way for the NXT Championship. We saw Trick Williams going in, defending it against the odds. He would defend it against Ethan Page, Javon Evans, and Shawn Spears. So I think in our build-up to this one, correct me if I'm wrong in a moment, Nick, I think we both were pretty convinced that it would be Trick Williams defending here successfully, right? I know that I definitely was on that wavelength as well, like if for 100% certainty. I thought, there's no way that Trick's going to lose it here. It would look like he might, but it's not going to happen. I was probably watching the match, and about 5 minutes in, I thought to myself, Trick isn't winning this, is he? It's going to be Ethan Page. And that's exactly what happened. Ethan Page picked up the win here in what I can only describe as one of the greatest crazy endings that I've seen to a match in a long time. I think they've done something similar in the past. It's not like completely unique, but it was brilliant. Nonetheless, it was absolutely fantastic, that ending sequence. So if I remember correctly here, going off of memory, I think Trick Williams hits a trick shot onto Javon Evans. He then hits a trick shot onto Ethan Page, who falls onto Javon Evans. And as Trick is clearly aware that's happening, Shawn Spears is on the outside of the ring. He grabs Trick Williams and pulls him down onto the canvas to stop him from breaking up the pinfall. Effectively, Shawn Spears guaranteeing that Ethan Page wins the match by complete fluke and walks out as the NXT champion. It was quite the finish. It was definitely a very interesting scenario, and I really rated how they did it. They took the title off a Trick in a way that, is completely inadvertent almost. It seems to be that way. And Ethan Page gets a really lucky break here. But, I mean, it's a second PLE match. He's the NXT champion. I think it's only his fourth match in total since joining NXT. That's quite the introduction. I don't think many people have had that successful of a start to their life in NXT. And Ethan Page, I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing what he does with that championship, because he's won it in a very cool, unique way. Let's see if he can sort of make a statement for himself and carve his legacy in that championship. But the match was a lot of fun. There were so many spots throughout it that made it very entertaining watch. We had bodies flying absolutely everywhere. Javon Evans was flying through the sky. I think I saw him hit like 2 or 3 moves where he was probably actually in air for a good 3 or 4 seconds each time. We saw barricades being broken through. We saw cutters from about 7 foot above the ring. It was genuinely a lot of fun to watch this one, and I'm being a little bit exaggerated on there, sure I am, but that's what it felt like when you're watching it. It just felt like Javon was just, he says he's bouncy. He ain't wrong. He is not wrong. This man bounces all over that ring, and he's an absolute pleasure to watch. I think I said that building up to this one, he had no chance of winning it. But, I mean, towards the end of the contest, he made a believer out of me. He made me think, you know what, this guy's a hell of a lot of fun to watch. He's very entertaining. He's an absolute treat in that ring, especially in this type of matchup where there's 4 guys. You can't keep your eye on everyone at the same time. And then you see Javon Evans flying at you. It was absolutely brilliant. Then you have, obviously, Ethan Page and Shawn Spears providing that sort of like calmer, more methodical sort of offense to this contest. Riling up the other opponents in the crowd in the process. It just was a great match. All 4 men really showcased themselves remarkably well here, and no one really went shy, which is exactly what I like to see in fatal 4-way matches. But yeah, absolutely loved every second of this one. The finish was brilliant. A new champion crowd, which I'm quite happy with personally. I wasn't really rating the whole Trick Williams title reign, so I'm looking forward to see what Ethan Page does with the title. But what did you think of this one, Scarlett? Did you just love the craziness between all 4 men? You couldn't really keep up everything at once. You see Javon Evans flying around at you. It was remarkably entertaining and fun, right?
Yeah, and it's hard to look at this match and not just go straight to the ending, because the ending just kind of left us all like, what just happened. It was even if it's been done before, it's been quite some time, obviously. So it was great to see the finish and kind of how it was. And yeah, in case you didn't know, I think it's mentioned quite often on NXT, but Javon Evans is only 20 years old, and for him to be able to do what he's doing is a spectacle in itself. I don't think anyone really looked weak here. I'm not sure I love the idea of winning a title kind of by a fluke. I understand it happens, but bringing this guy that just came in for him to win on that kind of way, it'll be interesting to see how they go about. It'll be interesting to see how he handles the publicity and kind of the backlash from that in the next few weeks. From obviously the other members of this match, if he'll kind of play it off like he meant to, I'm sure that'll probably be the case, but it'll be interesting to see how he does that. But obviously, from a character work standpoint, he is phenomenal from what I've seen so far. In-ring work, I'm not quite sold on him yet, but I love to be proved wrong, and so we'll see how this reign goes. And I think with the video that played there at the end, maybe that's his next opponent. But I would be hard pressed to believe that Trick isn't going to want some sort of redemption here. Things that, he knocked out pretty much everyone in that match and then still somehow lost. One question I did have was Sean Spears holding back Trick. Is he in on this, or was he just kind of, the fallout from this match should hold for a good story, I think. And I think maybe tonight on NXT we'll kind of see whose intentions were where. But yeah, another great match, and as you said, I did not expect Trick to lose his title yet, and he's very over in Canada. And so this will be interesting. I'm excited. I'm very intrigued to see how they play the fallout of this one. But yeah, I'm here to see Ethan Page's reign. I know he can do it on the mic. I want to see if he can do it in the ring. And depending on how long this reign is, I guess we'll get to see that. But from a rating standpoint, I gave this one also an 8.5, which is incredible to think, because I don't think we've ever given main roster PLE just consistent ratings so high. The lowest rating being an 8.5, I think, just is a testament to just how successful this PLE was.
Yeah, it's absolutely remarkable. The quality of the matches from start to finish, it makes you think, what if all events were like this? Wouldn't it just be like absolutely mouth-watering? Because I'd watch, this back so many times, and not even just like one match. I watched the whole show just start to finish once again, because it was just that good across the board. And these guys didn't stop the quality. They absolutely brought it. And I think you gave it an 8.5. I gave this one a 9 out of 10, which is the exact same as what I gave the tag team match earlier on. I think that it is probably between those two for me, and I can't really split them in terms of like how entertaining they were, how fun it was to watch them. And yeah, 9 out of 10 is just what I had to give it. It's just absolutely brilliant. I think you did make a good point, though, that ending was a bit odd, with Sean Spears specifically here. It was great, but it was just odd with that little bit of Sean Spears, deliberately holding back Trick. I'm interested to see if we're going to get some explanation for that. Maybe sort of like delve down a little bit deeper into what's happened there. Who knows? Who knows until we hear from the man himself. But either way, absolutely brilliant, and thoroughly enjoyed this main event. But hey, Ethan Page, 4 matches, he's won it by fluke. Let's see if he can hold on to it. That's the big question going on from here. So everybody, that was NXT Heatwave. Before we do close this one out, just going to pass it over to Nick to see if anything further needs to be said before we do close this one out.
You've convinced me to change my last rating to an 8.5 to a 9. Round up the whole PLE to a 9. Even that just sounds low for how this PLE delivered. I wasn't that impressed with the last PLE that NXT had. It didn't feel like it lived up to the standards, but they definitely made up for that one with this one, going above and beyond and being the PLE of the weekend, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely the PLE of the weekend. I don't think there's any question about that one. No doubt on my mind that that's the situation there. But yeah, I mean, overall across the show, you gave it a 9. You just said that. Yeah, I'm going to stick with that as well. I gave it a 9 out of 10 too. Probably the highest rating I think I've given on these before, which does say a lot. I just, yeah, loved it all. Absolutely loved it. It was just one of the best shows that I've seen in a long time, just gripping from start to finish. Didn't have a bad match throughout the entire card. Everyone brought their A game, and it's just amazing to see. Absolute pleasure to watch, and I can't wait to see if we can get more of these going forward from NXT, because I wasn't really invested in a couple of matches in the build-up, which is the more surprising thing. But coming off of it, I absolutely should have been. But I'm kind of glad I wasn't, because it made me enjoy them a lot more. So, yeah, wonderful show, absolutely brilliant, and yeah, you know, such an improvement from, like you said, from NXT Battleground. So, guys, there you have it. That has been The Push with Nick and KP. We've gone through all of our reactions to NXT Heatwave. If you think that you have anything else to add on, maybe we've missed a couple of things, maybe you disagree with what we've said, maybe you do agree, you want to just, you know, show your adoration to this event, let us know in the comments. Let us know what you're thinking, what your thoughts are, and we'll go through and have a little read of them ourselves. If you liked what we're putting out here, then please hit a like on the video. Please subscribe to the channel, because we're putting out videos weekly at this point. Again, lots of content out for everybody. We'll be back with another video very, 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 very soon, and that will be reviewing Money in the Bank. So, you know, lots happened this weekend, lots of wrestling, and we've got a lot to say regarding that one. So, guys, this has been The Push with Nick and KP, and we'll see you all in the next one. Thank you, everybody, and goodbye.